In the many years I've been on Facebook, I've had a couple interesting moments where Add Friend popped up in my sidebar, and it was someone I thought I was already friends with. More accurately, we had been friends, except they dropped me at some point. Apparently I didn't notice until Facebook hit me with a post gushing about all the people we had in common. While I've never been offended, I will admit to having been confused. My response is usually, I wonder what I did. It's a somewhat problematic stance because I wonder what I did automatically puts all the blame on me, which isn't healthy. Conversely, if I saw I'd been unfriended and thought, what's wrong with them, that would also be inappropriate. That points fingers and lays blame. The truth is, relationships are two-way streets. Disagreements between people rarely boil down to absolutes on either side. I understand that, and therefore think, what did I do, is a good starting point. Not as a point of guilt, but of examination. We should be aware of our actions that we might correct them if we need to. If we come to the conclusion we didn't do a whole lot wrong, then we can sleep with a clear conscience. Which brings me to my first sideways thought. The book Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari is damned fascinating. At one point, the author brings up technology and speed. He discusses the fact people used to physically write letters, and now we send emails. With a letter, you'd sit down, pencil and paper, and put forth your thoughts. Such a process took effort. With email, we don't need to write. Sadly, we don't even need to think. Email gives us the ability to respond to correspondence while completely distracted. We can also send a single-sentence email if we so desire. It takes zero effort. Imagine writing a one-sentence letter, sitting down, pen and paper, writing one sentence, folding the paper, putting it into an envelope, addressing that envelope, putting a stamp on it, taking the letter to the post office. You wouldn't do that. But with email, one-sentence responses are common. Even worse, technology allows us to react to stimulus immediately. We tell our kids to stop and count to 10 when they're angry, but when we're online, we react. We tweet, we comment, we post status updates, all without taking the time to wonder, is this a good idea? Everything is done on impulse, see and react. We send truncated at best thoughts, and sometimes no thought at all goes into the response process. It makes me wonder if the unfriending process is as equally thoughtless as anything else we do. See something you don't like? Unfriend, gone. Don't have to think about that person anymore. With a click of a button, we are kings, off with their head. This happens a lot during an election cycle. Returning to the point at hand, I was recently unfriended on a social media platform. This time it wasn't a, when did that happen, surprise. I watched it occur in the moment. I knew the guy who dropped me, Tom, for 20 years. We met back in Milwaukee at an open microphone. Tom and I both wanted to be stand-up comedians. In my mind, we got along well enough. We were friendly with one another, though not, hey, let's hang out all the time, friends. When I put together my first ever comedy for charity show, I asked Tom to headline it. I called the local TV station and got them to feature him on the news. I might have gotten him a slot on the radio too. Eventually, we both ended up in Los Angeles. When Tom filmed his first TV appearance, I showed up in the audience to support him. I also stopped by the green room of Craig Ferguson's talk show to wish Tom well before his performance on that program. Then I moved to Iowa, but we remain connected online. Until recently, that is. Until I posted the following status. Quote, "My kids are having an intense discussion about how dogs mark their territory. They pee on things and then they think they own that thing," my daughter said. This turned into a conversation about things they would pee on and thus own. "I peed on the swings, I own the swings," my son declared. And that's when I realized my friend Bobby owns our mutual friend Tom's old car. In the 2000s in Los Angeles, Bobby and I were returning from an open mic. Bobby was drunk. We pulled into our parking garage, and Tom's car was in its slot. Without saying a word, Bobby got out of my car, stumbled over to Tom's vehicle, dropped trow, and let fly. He peed on the driver's side door, the door handle, the windshield, the hood. He covered that car with so much drunken full bladder beer pee, it was an amount akin to what Frank Drebin released in The Naked Gun. I think I laughed so hard I peed my own pants a little. Good times. Sorry this is how you found out about it, Tom. I was chuckling as I wrote that status. In fact, I wrote the status over the course of about 7 minutes. I wanted to make it short, impactful, honest, and funny, so I took care when constructing it. Is the action described in the moment dumb? Absolutely. Guys are dumb. We do dumb things to one another. Bobby, the guy who peed on Tom's car? I once took a bar of soap to his truck while he was at work. I used the soap and drew enormous phallic symbols all over it. I mean, I covered that truck front to back and top to bottom with wieners. It was a present for Bobby to find when his shift was over. Bobby said he drove the thing straight to the car wash. Why did I do that? Again, because guys do dumb things to one another. Guys cover friends in shaving cream while they sleep. They draw on them while they're passed out, give humiliating best man speeches at weddings, embarrassing the groom-to-be. Dumb things are fun. Anyway, I tagged Tom in my pee post, thinking he'd get a kick out of it. But I was wrong. Instead of being amused, Tom wrote an angry, attacking comment. I was surprised, but let it go. Better to let a person vent than to get into it with them. A few hours later, Tom's wife commented. She wrote, "Glad you and your buddy are not in my husband's life anymore." At first I laughed. It was a very status quo response. Guys find peeing on one another's car funny, while girls do not. Of course the wife would be happy Bobby and I weren't around. Then I noticed Tom's comment was gone. He deleted it. Then I noticed he deleted me. He unfriended me. I wasn't hurt, but I was flabbergasted. And a little annoyed, honestly. Here's where I go sideways again, and I apologize for the detour. Tom's action made me think of something I wrote 3 days before the Rob peed on your car status, which was the following. As a comedian, I have had the humbling honor to travel overseas and perform for American troops stationed far from home. Each and every trip has been life-changing. But one specific story comes to mind. I talked to a soldier who explained that for over a year, one full goddamn year after he got home, he slept alone in a separate room in his house. He had a wife, but slept in the guest bedroom. Why? Because he didn't want to accidentally kill his wife in the middle of the night. He explained that if she absolutely had to wake him up, the only way she was ever allowed to do so was by tapping his foot twice. That was the signal he and his brothers used in Afghanistan. 2 taps to the foot, that meant safe. Anything else, you wake up swinging. Oh, and you had a knife in your hand at all times, which meant if you weren't punching, you were slashing, you were stabbing as you woke up. Think about that for a second. Imagine having to sleep apart from your spouse because you might kill her if she bumped you in your sleep. Why did Tom unfriending me make me think of that story? Here's where I try and tie everything together. First, if the worst thing you have to deal with in your life is reading that someone peed on your car 15 years ago, then you have a pretty easy life. If your response to such a revelation is to be so mad at the messenger, someone who even threw in an apology, that you delete them from your life, that makes me question what kind of person you are. By that, I mean you are not an adult. Adults express their thoughts and feelings. Hey, that post really bothered me. I can't believe you peed on my car. Children act on unregulated impulse. Second, was the unfriending impulsive? As stated earlier, the evil beauty of the internet is that we can do everything with a click. Want someone out of your life? Delete. No thought, no contemplation, just I'm upset in this moment, and this moment is all that matters. Knee-jerk reactions lead to regret in some situations, but probably not here. As said, Tom and I were friendly, but not friends. We didn't interact all that often, so I doubt there will be any wistful, I wonder what he's up to, longing on either side of the equation. Maybe Tom was having the worst day of his life, and my status was the straw that broke the camel's back. Doubtful, but possible. That said, I'm not sure treating people as disposable in any situation is appropriate. Third and last, this comes back to the what did I do versus what's wrong with him intro to this piece. Should I have told Tom 15 years ago, hey, Rob peed on your car last night? Maybe, probably, I don't know, but I didn't, and there's no going back and changing that now. Should I have tagged him in a post describing it 15 years later? Apparently not. I thought it would be funny. It never crossed my mind that someone would have a negative reaction to something so old, so trivial, and that contained an apology. But that's just me, and that's my opinion. Whatever picture of me Tom has, whatever picture he painted to his wife, who has never met me by the way, that picture that made her glad I wasn't a part of their life, that does not jibe with the interactions I remember. Whatever justifications Tom has for his actions, I'm sure they are valid to him. We each get to live our own lives with our own moral standards. That's the end of this piece. If you made it this far, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this and would like to support me in any way, I write the occasional book, and you can look me up on Amazon. Just enter my name, Nathan Timmel, in the search bar on Amazon and click on my Amazon author page. I'll leave a link to it in the description of this video and in a pinned comment. Again, thanks for listening.